As I grew older, yes.
No, I mean, when you were a child, though.
No, because I favored my father. I mean, no matter what he did, it was okay.
We all adored him.
I adored him.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
I adored him.
Why?
Because with all of his faults, he was a very good, sweet, kind, gentle man.
He never hit us.
He never
raised his voice.
He only hit me once.
That's for crossing the
You
street.
mean by what he didn't do?
Well, that's yeah. We resented all those things, but he was really a very good man. He really was.
Is this turning into group therapy?
No.
He was a good man.
Let me ask you.
Never made trouble for anyone.
What was Sarah and David's relationship to each other?
They adored
loved
each other.
Adored.
each other.
My mother adored my father, and I can remember once he was shaving in the bathroom, and I was little, and while he was shaving, she says, "Can I watch?" And he'd say yes, and while he had his arm up, and she said, "Look at those muscles."
Oh, is that funny?
Yeah, look at those muscles. Like she thought he was just
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
And
They were a very loving
And she
couple.
said, "Oh, isn't he
Outside of
handsome?
money.
Isn't he handsome? He's such a handsome." She really adored him. Really adored him.
They outwardly show a lot of affection to each other?
She was more affectionate. He didn't like to show in public because she used to complain to him a lot. "Why did you show me affection when we're out with other people? Show me affection." So he says, "Isn't it enough that I show you in bed?" What's more important, to show in public or to show it when we're in private? You know, that was his intention.
Were they pretty open with you guys about...
No.
No.
About what?
Just about everything.
That's it. No about everything.
About what?
You know, about
No
about the family's finances.
No.
We were never really...
We're talking about their feelings to you.
No.
They didn't.
No.
The only
My
thing-
mother
grandma
did.
thing
My
that-
mother did.
Yes,
my mother.
Her aggravations
With Aunt Spraggy.
That was the only thing that was a contention.
She was an extremely sensitive woman. It was always hurt.
Jealous, very jealous, very
Yeah,
sensitive,
jealous
overly
and-
sensitive.
Extremely. She was very heavy.
Do you remember that?
And she always felt inadequate and that
What she used to say is, "Who's going to want me with 5 children and being so fat?" That's what she used to say.
Who's gonna
Who's
want
going to
her?
want me? Yeah, because she's so upset with Pa
Oh,
gambling.
when she was mad at him?
You know, when he used to gamble, she says, "Who's going to want me?" Once she did walk out on him for 3 days.
You're kidding. Where'd she go?
This was on Cockeye Street.
Cocker Barrel?
I don't know where she went, but she was gone.
Maybe
was
she went
gone.
to Auntie's Friday.
And then I remember looking out the window, waiting for her to come
Oh,
home.
how awful.
And for 3 days, I kept looking out the window, waiting for her. And
How
my
old were
father.
You were left in charge?
I was home, and he came over the window. He saw how sad I was, and he said, "Don't worry." He said, "She'll be back. She'll be back. She'll be coming back." You know, and sure enough, of course she did. But that was a terrible thing.
I never knew Ma did that.
Oh yeah, she walked out.
She was funky,
Wow.
That took some guts, didn't
huh?
it?
Sure did for someone.
But then I also remember,
So did
you know what else I
you
remember?
agree?
Something really terrible. The dead of winter, my father had a car, and it was they had on the sides, they didn't have windows, they had these plastic windows, and that
They didn't have
snapped
plastic
on the
in those
sides.
Celluloid.
Celluloid, that was called.
Cellophane.
And he was supposed to take care of us. I mean, it was my brother and me, and I think Dorothy was in the car too. She was very, very young, and it was really cold, and there's no heat or air conditioning in the car. And he said, he stopped someplace, and he said, "Stay here for a few minutes, I'll be right back." He didn't come back for 3 or 4 hours. We were in the car while he was playing cards.
Oh my God.
Now, I remember, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I remember a story that, weren't you guys in a car and a train was coming?
Oh, yes.
What's that story?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, yes.
That
We were
reminds
going
me
to
of this.
South Haven. Betty and I were in the back seat, and all of a sudden we were in a little town, and there were tracks going all over the place, and the light with the signal was on, the ding-donger, and
I remember that.
and then he stops right on the tracks.
Oh, God.
So we're screaming, Pa, back up! You're on the tracks. The train. You could see a train was coming, and the tracks were going all. You couldn't tell which track that train was on, and he was laughing. The more we screamed, the more he laughed.
He was frightened.
He could have backed up.
No, he was confused.
So what happened? The
Or
crane
teasing.
crashed?
He became confused. No, he
All he had to do was
he
back
wouldn't
up.
tease them.
Get off. He had plenty of time. But he just sat there and laughed, and that train came by, and the car shook. It was that close.
Oh my, that's terrible.
I remember a story when we were very little. We'd come back from visiting maybe Aunt Sproggy, and it was cold. And before we could get into the kitchen, my father first would get in with the broom, and he would stand guard over the stove. And then we would turn on the light, and all of the mice would, we opened the oven, and all the mice would just stream out of that oven, and he'd be there with the broom and run out.
I don't
And
remember
Helen and
that.
I would stand on the chair screaming.
I don't remember that.
I remember that. I remember that.
The smell would be.
I remember.
Wow.
No, it was cold, and the little mice would come in for warmth.
Well, you
I
know what
remember
happened?
that.
You know what
I was
happened
saying,
to
why
Aunt
didn't you
Betty
just turn the
once?
oven on?
We had a
Those
stoke
mice.
oven, a coal furnace.
Yes.
And they used to pour the coal down
Down
the
the chute.
a chute from the
Through the
basement window. And then there was like a special little bin that you kept it. And then you'd have to dig the coal and shovel it into the furnace. Once Grandma and Grandpa went away, and he told Betty to put water. Make sure she put water. There's like a little container in front of the furnace that you're supposed to keep water, so I guess it doesn't crack, right?
I don't know.
So poor Betty, and I'm standing right behind her. She gets a pail of water, and she pours it, and her hand slipped, and the water shot into the hot coals, and there was a blast
Oh
of
my
black
God.
soot and coal. We got burned. You got burned on your face and your arms, and I did on my arms a little bit. You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
I don't even.
I'm glad you remember that.
We were almost suffocated too.
Glad
Yeah.
you remember that.
Oh my goodness.
What else? What other?
Oh,
So
I
I
lots of
remember
them.
that
Well,
when-
during the Depression, my father used to, there wasn't any food in the house, so he used to get potatoes and he would put them in the furnace. When you talked about the furnace, it reminded me of that. And he would put the potatoes in the furnace
the
and
best.
bake the potatoes because they turned the gas off. We didn't have gas, so we put the potatoes in the furnace, and
That was the best
and
potato.
that was one of the meals that we had, just baked potatoes.
What was a typical meal during the Depression?
Milk and
Potato
bread.
soup. He used to make
He used to make
delicious
potato soup, bread,
Milk
and
Potato
then,
soup with caraway seeds.
yeah, and then
Oh.
they used to send us food because we were on welfare, and they would bring these hams, and my mother immediately took the ham and took it next door to Mrs. Driscoll because she wouldn't have ham in the house. Yeah.
You know, that's part of the background that when we moved into Huntington Woods, when they all wanted to build our house in Huntington Woods, Pa said, "What do you want to go there for? With all the doctors?" Is that right? Yeah. What do you need to go there for?
Yeah, that's not your station.
Yeah, that's right. Except my mother-in-law, your dear mother, said, "Dottie, you saved my life."
Yeah.
Oh, that was her
Marrying
standard.
your son.
Yeah.
That was the standard.
Yeah, you saved my life.
We would take her out, when she was alone. And we would take her out for the afternoon to our house or shopping. And she would, the first thing when she got in the car, she says, "You don't know how you saved my life.
Mine life.
Mine life, taking me out today."
Yeah, she
But
was
I would like
darling.
to tell you about my father. I remember, we all craved affection from him, and he was sort of, aloof.
Interesting.
And he got sick, and he couldn't work, and we all came to visit him. We'd all sit on the couch, and he put his arms around me and around another sister. And that's the first time he's ever done that. And I thought to myself, gee, he really did love us. He just couldn't show it. But now he's so sick. He's letting us know how much he really loves us.
Did he work up until the time he died?
He what?
No, he was retired.
He
He was
retired.
retired by
Okay.
just a few years, but he was still working in his early 70s.
And he worked on our house.
Yeah.
What did he die from?
Prostate operation. He had a massive heart attack after the operation.
How old was he when he died?
70, I think he was 70,
78.
No,
79.
no. Before he was 75. It was either 73, 74.
79.
Oh, he was older than that.
79.
79.
79.
Was he?
He wasn't 79.
Yeah, I
They
think
were
so.
both
Yeah.
79.
Both of them,
Right.
They were both 79.
My mother was 73 when she
No,
was
no,
born.
79.
76.
And what did your mother?
You guys don't know anything.
My mother slipped on the rug and broke her hip.
She was trying to answer the phone.
There's another, and that was 9 months after my father died.
And they
The
took her to the
mailman.
hospital and they had to operate on her.
The mailman
And
knows.
the 11th day
I
after the
remember.
operation, the blood clot from the operation, she had a massive heart attack.
Which is rather common after
Yeah.
surgery.
Surgery. Yeah.
At that age.
Was she fairly healthy when she was?
Fairly healthy. She just had. She was.
She just had
hypertension.
high blood pressure.
That's all she had.
She was having.
She was obese and she had hypertension.
and
That's
she
all.
had also had an enlarged heart.
And she also used to say how she was a dancer when she was young.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Uh-huh.
No, that's validated.
And you know, I could never quite imagine her small enough to be a dancer.
And as heavy as she was, though,
She
when
was
they were at a
very light on
wedding
her
and
feet.
they would dance together, they
Yeah.
would do the Russian waltz. She was the lightest
She
of
was a
feathers.
dancer.
She would
was.
just dance
She was a
beautifully.
dancer when she was
And
a
I
young
remember
girl.
your father used to do the Kazatska.
Yes, we covered
And
that.
then Al picked that one up.
Right, right. The Russian
Yeah, I think everybody's getting tired.
Okay.
So, anything else you want to ask?
Well, maybe just summation.
Well, let's put it this way: we all got married. We have our children. The children would play together. We while we were all together in the same area, we sort of the children and the sisters sort of just got together, and we always had a wonderful time. And all we did was laugh and have a wonderful time together. That's what I remember.
The more
We're
problems
still
we
doing
had,
it.
the more we laughed.
We laughed. We laughed
Right.
a lot. We
always
laughed a
laugh.
lot.
That's cute.
Yeah. We have a wonderful time.
I would like to sum up, looking back on our family, is as poor as we were, and as much as I felt deprived, I can look back on Grandma and Grandpa, my mother and father, as being classy people, high standards. My mother would always teach us to be ladies, to act like ladies, and conduct ourselves in the proper
Too
way.
much so.
Too much so, but
Too much so.
I don't think it was too much so.
It was.
Maybe in certain areas, but
Yeah.
and
It
my
left us
father,
inhibited.
just the way he conducted his life and himself and his high standards, I thought he was a fairly
He was a gentleman, let's put it that way. He
classy
was a
man.
gentleman.
He was a classy man.
And my mother was a lady. I mean, but that's, I guess that puts it together.
Anybody else have anything you want to ask?
Sharon, you got any
Any
questions?
questions from the audience?
No, most of my childhood memories revolve around Petoskey.
Right.
Friday night, she bought dinners.
Yeah.
All these people around that table.
Mm-hmm.
Chicken soup.
Right.
You taught me how to dry the dishes. I think one of you, Auntie Helen or Auntie Betty, you get a whole big stack of dishes and you dry the top of one and the bottom of the other, and then you take it and put it on the bottom and you dry it down.
It wasn't
Really?
It was Auntie Betty. Somebody taught me how to dry.
Could be.
It's very efficient.
Did they ever talk about the old country from Russia before they came here?
Yes, everything was better in Russia. Everything was better.
Everything tasted better.
It was a more beautiful country. The vegetables, the fruits, were
Everything
much
tasted
tastier. And the candy, don't ask. Candy, you don't have candy over here like they get over there. Right?
Well, it's always better over there. But
Yes.
over there now, they would much prefer being here because we have it so much better now.
And now there's close to 60 of us in this family, all from mom and dad.
Isn't that
Yeah,
amazing?
we turned out to be
59,
a big
right?
family.
Six.
Did you
60, right.
I got the count.
Did you get the 4 in Nevada?
Gary.
64.
Gary did.
I got them.
No kidding.
I get 16.
So mom and dad didn't do so bad, did they? They didn't do so bad.
No.